We're back again this week with another episode of the Big Blue Preview, where we sat down with head women's basketball coach Olivia Lett, where we hit on successes from last year, her recruiting class this year, and what you can expect out of the team come 2021. Enjoy. We are here with head women's basketball coach Olivia Lett. What's up?
Hey Nathan, how are you?
I'm great.
Long time no see.
Yes. So we'll just jump right in. How's the year been going?
It's been good. It's different. We talk a lot about kind of trying to make the best of it. And it's not just about basketball. It's about all the other things going on as well. And taking advantage of the time that we do get in the gym and that we get together and all of those type of things. We've tried to do some different things this year just to get them excited and keep them excited, especially without knowing about a season. You know, we went and we played on a playground one day in terms of trying to get back to pick up basketball. A lot of these kids haven't played basketball since March. And it's hard to remember that sometimes when we don't look very good, is that they haven't played basketball, and probably in their whole life they've never gone that long without doing it. And so we've tried to get back to the basics, get back to really enjoying playing, playing 2-on-2, 3-on-3, playing outside, just doing different things to keep them excited, even though there aren't games. And we talk a lot about bettering yourself during that time, whether it's as a player or as a person. Yes, games are fun, and that's when everybody gets to see the work that you put in, but falling in love with what you're doing is about the work that you're putting in and kind of blurring that line between work and play.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of the coaches talk about how athletics is kind of not the most important thing right now. It's as much as keeping them on track and okay, like mentally during all of this, because it's brutal especially not having games. To have remote learning classes on top of not having games and then limited practices, it's probably been pretty tough, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think we try to be real about it too. I let them know when I'm struggling. I think it's been hard for me to compartmentalize things in terms of I know that I'm shorter with them. And so they got days where it's rough because I don't come in a good mood more than usual. And so I think being honest with them about where it's tough for me, myself, and Tim as well, so that they know it's not just them going through it. And we talk about how the world doesn't really revolve around you as much as it feels like everything is being, all these decisions are being made because of you, because, people want to make your situation tougher. That really, it's not about you. That everyone is kind of going through this, and to try to focus on what we have and not what we don't have, because that's what people that are happier do. We've been able to do some little things that have helped with that. The toy drive that we just had, I think that helps give them a little bit of perspective kind of going into the holidays, and something that they were excited about other than basketball.
Yeah, so kind of moving backwards now, let's talk about last year real quick. Huge year for the program, with the best year or season since the 2010, 2011
time ago, right?
Yeah. So like 10 years, and you guys crushed it, and major improvements from where it's been before. So what did it mean to you as a head coach to kind of see that all pay off?
One of the things that we talk about a lot during the season is kind of enjoying it while you're going through it too, right? I think that's something that a lot of people miss out on, is they get to the end and they're like, wow, I wish I would have enjoyed that more. I wish I would have known when I was in that situation that, like, this was it. This is the good old days. And so I think where we're at as a program, that's something that's a little bit easier to do right now. And so last year was a lot of that. It was the first time that we had knocked off a top 25 team in a long time. It was the first time that we had beat Wesleyan. And so those firsts give you that excitement too. Obviously goal wise, we would have liked to have done more. We lost twice to Carroll. We lost to some of the teams that finished at the bottom part of the conference. And so when you look at that, yeah, that part is frustrating, but we really try to focus on being in the moment. One of our program's favorite games from that year was actually at Wesleyan, and we lost that game. But if you ask any one of our players, that was one of their favorite games of the whole season. And I think that just shows how much we were really trying to be in the moment and how much they enjoy being around each other and working for each other. That was one of the toughest games we played all year. But I remember during a timeout, we were pretty nervous at that point. It was late, there's probably 8 minutes left in the game, and calling them over and just saying, guys, take a second, like look around you. Half the crowd was in blue. And I
Mhm.
was like, you did this. Like, you are the ones that created this. You're the reason that they're here. You're the reason there's this much energy in the building right now. And, it gives me chills right now, even just thinking about that moment. And I think a lot of people go through those and don't enjoy that, and they miss out on those things. And so we're lucky to kind of be having those firsts and to really try to pay attention to those moments. And so that's one of the big things from last year is those little moments. Beating Wesleyan at home was cool. Just that week in general was a lot of fun here. So wrestling won the conference the next night. That week was just full of energy, and so
Yeah.
I think that's another one that sticks out a lot. And so it's hard to top some of those moments, but I think it's really going to take our focus of continuing to have that excitement about every single game, and about when we do win our first conference title in a while, when we do make the NCAA tournament, all of those type of things. Those are what we're selling to recruits, and so we've got to make sure that we're enjoying them while we're going through them too.
So, being a Wesleyan alum, a national champion with Wesleyan, player of the year with Wesleyan, what was that like to beat them as a coach for the rival school of Wesleyan?
It's interesting. It doesn't dawn on me as much anymore. I think the first really weird moment was when we went and played up there my first year.
Mhm.
Having butterflies, just it felt very uncomfortable going up there on the other side. But now it's really more that they're kind of the pinnacle of success in our conference, right? Them and Wheaton are at the top. And so it's less the idea of playing Wesleyan and more the idea of challenging yourself against one of the best teams in the conference. And we want that to be a rivalry, not because of me, but because we are that competitive. If
Mhm.
we're one of the elite programs in the conference as well, that becomes a rivalry. Or we'd like it to go the other way. It's no longer a rivalry because we're the dominant team.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's been missing. And so, yes, I guess there's that added little bit that I went there, but it's more the idea of embracing challenging yourself against some of the best.
So keeping on talking about last year, you have a pretty young team, and you did last year as well, only graduating one with Brianna, who, I mean, talk about an improvement just on that one person. Um, who's going to kind of step up and take her role and run with it, and keep building on what she kind of started?
So Bree was one of those kids. Like, I don't know that we can actually fill what she did with one person. She fit our program really well. What we were trying to do. Yanni Sadler the year before, same type of thing. Bree was a JV player before I took over as a head coach, and so she just really made some strides. Completely selfless player. She matured so much in her 2 years that I was with her, and just gave to her teammates constantly. You can't replace that type of energy, whether it was on the bench or in the game. The things that she was able to do defensively. I think we've got kids like Jasmine Brown that bring that same type of energy defensively. Offensively, I think Natalie Snyder can potentially fill some of those roles in terms of the offensive side. She came on late for us. They both have a tendency to take shots where I'm just like, oh boy, and then it goes in. So she might kill me during the season, but she's going to hit a lot of those shots. She hit some of them against Wesleyan. Bree actually hit some of them against Wesleyan as well. And then we got to find somebody to do what she did on the bench. She brought a lot of energy on the bench in terms of getting people excited, having fun. And she's one of those personalities that, in terms of recruiting, just brought people in. And so she's not going to be able to be filled, I don't think, by one person. We're going to have kind of a group effort to do that. And when you're younger, it's kind of tough to do some of those things. And so hopefully we can figure that out. I think it's going to be hard to know for sure until we get into game situations.
So I know one thing that I don't even know if it's something that you preach or if it's something that they've just taken on, is that your team is like hilarious and they like to be around each other, and they have fun doing what they do. How important is that to you? And then how do you see that translate like come game time?
Yeah, it's funny. I think Brian Marshall might kill us at some point in time because the amount of times that they come through the office and are just super loud. He told us the other day, he's like, I love when I hear them out in the lobby and they're so loud that he can hear them from the lobby in his office. But they just have a good time and it's fun to be around and it's infectious and we want that to carry over on the court. For so long, I remember being the player that was like, "Oh, act like you've been there before,"
Hmm.
and that's good. But it's a lot more fun to have fun with it, and it's a lot easier to kind of keep that energy and do some of the things that we do. We play really hard, and in order to do that, you've got to make sure that there's energy there. And so the things that they're able to do in practice and on the bench, that kind of keeps us going. It gets us going in those big moments when it's tough, and being able to have that kind of just energy moving forward, that goofiness that keeps it light sometimes.
So one of your big things since you starting has been to kind of dominate the Central Illinois basketball recruiting area. And this year, you've really done that well, picking up some pretty big time high school names. Talk about your recruiting class and how they've been doing.
Yeah, so we want to be Central Illinois' team, and I think that's really important to us. Currently on the roster, we've got Player of the Year from Springfield, one from Champaign, one from Decatur, and then Bailey was probably first team, I think, from Bloomington area. And so that's important for us. I think it helps with crowds. We've had just amazing community support at games. I think you've seen our crowds just start to grow. It's a bummer this year that we're not going to be able to see where that could potentially be, but we're excited to have that again next year. This class is, again, a big personality class. We thought this was going to be the quietest class that we had in our recruiting. We were very wrong. They've got a lot of personality, but it's a very full class other than the fact that we didn't get a lot of size. So first year we wanted to go get some size. This year they all complement each other really, really well. Elise Knudsen, I think, has the potential to be one of the best players to have ever played here. She just has a knack for seeing things on the floor. She's very unselfish, to the point that I got to tell her, no, we need you to shoot in order to give your teammates a better opportunities. Ashlyn Sturdy came on especially late. She just started to figure out what it takes at this college level. She's just very steady with the ball, doesn't have many turnovers, just a very solid point guard. Gabby Thomason is one that we tell her literally, like, if you see orange, like, we want it going up. She is your like Duncan Robinson type shooter from the Miami Heat. We talk a lot about them, and I think this class kind of looks like them. You've got your Jimmy Butler and Elise. You've got your Tyler Harrow and Sturdy. She's got the ability to go off like that. Duncan Robinson and Gabby, and then Sophie just does a little bit of everything. She can guard all five positions. She finds a way to get rebounds. She just is a tough kid. And she's going against Jordan a lot of times, and she's given up 2 inches there. She's, I think, only 5'8", and we might list her at 5'10". So she plays a lot bigger than what she is. Just a very, very tough kid, and starting to figure out how to use that in our system. Jacqueline Anderson is starting to really figure out our defense. She's going to give us another on-ball defender, which we were really looking for, and she just finds a way to be involved. And then our last freshman is Izzy Lambert, who's going to be coming back from an injury, but was starting to hit some strides before that, and so looking forward to getting her back in the spring too.
So this is going to be the third season with Tim, right? He came when you came, or talk about Tim, because you complement each other so well. From what I see from the outside, what's it like working with him, and what does he bring to the team?
I've said it multiple times. Like, I get to work with one of my best friends every single day. Like, that's a lot of fun. He deals with a lot of my crap. And he's gotten so much better at just being on top of things before I ever have to say it. That was one of the things we talked about in the off season, is him getting ready to be a head coach eventually, is just just do whatever you think you would do as a head coach, whether that's make sure all those little things are done. Uh, Personality wise, he is a phenomenal recruiter. We wouldn't be where we're at without him, for sure. He will tirelessly call, go places, do whatever. He is just very good at that. He's got the personality that I don't necessarily have in terms of he can keep it light and easy, and that's good. It's good to kind of balance me out because I get real intense, and he's got that side, but it's something that when that comes out, our kids know, oh crap, like we just made him mad, so that means we really got to change things. And he got a stretch this year where he was able to coach practice for a week, and I think that was a really good experience for him. I think it was a really good experience for our kids to kind of step up their roles too, but for him to have to plan a practice and do all of it, because it's different when you kind of change roles. And so he's been great for our program. I don't want him to ever leave. Unfortunately, I think that he's too good and he's probably going to leave at some point in time. But I'm not looking forward to that day.
Yeah. So last year, as well as you guys performed, obviously kind of came up shorter than maybe you hoped. Where have you kind of built from last year? What have you seen that needed improvement from last year that you've kind of made note of?
I think that our players just continue to get more comfortable in what we're doing. And so when you walk into a practice or an open gym or whatever, they just know what to do to get things done. They come in and they know what they got to do to get better skill wise. They come in, they get in certain shots, they do certain drills by themselves. When they're running our defense, they're the ones that are talking through it. I am still learning very much as a head coach, and I don't know all the answers. A lot of times they might know the answers more than me, and so they're becoming the experts on our defense, on our offense, and our upperclassmen are doing a great job of continuing to talk to some of our freshmen and try to make sure that they get in the right spots and make sure that they're going hard enough or staying sharp enough in certain things. And I think that year 1 and 2, we didn't have any experts necessarily out there on the floor, myself included. We didn't have any experts anywhere. And so it was all a learning process. And now we're getting to the point where they feel very comfortable. They know what the answers are to the questions that they want to ask. And that's really a turning point for us, is them being able to make some of those fixes and understanding the pace. And they know, when they're doing a drill and they don't hit the pace, Jordan will be the first one that's like, yeah, that was like, we just aren't there. And there's starting to be that difference between, your freshmen and your returners, especially those first couple weeks in practice. And that means that you're starting to hit a point where everybody just gets what you got to do every single day. And now, getting a little bit later into workouts and stuff, I think they all started to figure that out.
What kind of growth are you seeing in the returners this year? After having, some of the freshmen last year, so the sophomores, after having a season under their belt, how have you seen them grow?
Jordan Hildebrand's one that's just steady for us, right? She is just constant. She's going to come in, she's going to do her job. You know what you're going to get from her night in and night out, and that just continues to be the case. And so I expect her to have another big year. Jasmine Brown is one that just tirelessly is in the gym. She is constantly working, and she is the epitome of what you want from a student athlete. Great student, constantly in the gym, just knows what she wants and focuses on that. And every day she's just working to be a better her. And same thing with Miranda Fox, wants to be the best at everything that she does. And I think that's something that we've got on throughout our team, is they all just want to be the best them, whether that's on the court or off the court. Two kids that have made big strides for us were Chelsea McCollum and Sarah Ness. They didn't play for us last year, but Chelsea is really starting to get a grip of where she fits into our system. And defensively, she is so long, it's unbelievable, which fits into everything that we want to do. And offensively, she's kind of figuring out that we don't necessarily need anybody else to shoot shots. We put up plenty of shots. And so if you want to get on the court, you got to find something unique to give us. And she can do that defensively. Sarah Ness is another great athlete. She can shoot a true pull-up jumper, which a lot of females can't do. And that's something that she is able to give us. She's also a great passer. And so just continuing to kind of harness her energy, because she's a very, very high energy kid, and find ways to to get that to fit in. Obviously with our sophomores, they all had big years last year. And so for them, it's consistently getting better, trying to find ways to push themselves to that next level. Bailey and Abby had a little bit of a tough fall, and but it's because they have such high expectations for themselves and from the team. And so we want to push them to get to another level. And I think that they're both starting to own that a little bit more, which is fun to see.
What are you seeing or hearing out of the conference this year? Like, who do you think is looking really good? Who do you have your eyes on this year?
We really try to focus on us. I think that we have the potential to be a top team in the country, whether it's this year or next year or whatever else. We're not intimidated by anybody, and that's something that's very exciting about where our program is. We are young and we don't know what we don't know. So we go out there every single game and we're ready to compete. I don't even know if we're aware of who the best teams are supposed to be. And I think that's a good thing. We think we're the best team. We go in every game and we think that we should be winning it. And that's the mentality that I want to have. I want to have a chip on our shoulder that nobody necessarily appreciates us yet or thinks that we should be that, because I don't think we're there yet. I don't know that anybody else has that expectation, which I love. I'd love to be the underdog, but we're going to walk in every single time and think that we're supposed to win.
So in wrapping, I've been doing this with the other coaches. Describe your team with just one word. Or Coach Burt. Coach Burt needed like 5.
But... Oh man, yeah, I'm probably gonna take after him, to be honest with you. So when you kind of warned me about this question, and immediately I was like, oh, we're tough. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, I tell us that we're soft almost every single day. So I don't know if I can go with tough yet. I think we're too young to fully understand what tough looks like yet. But I would say we're really resilient. We bounce back. Sometimes I don't know why, because I'm hard on them some days, but they keep coming back and they keep wanting more and they continue to want to be the best. And I think that's really a testament to the resiliency. Like I said, I think we're going to get to the point that we know what tough looks like, but I don't think we're quite there yet. So I'm going to go with resilient.
That'll work. Well, 2021's coming. Season is going to be starting. We'll see you in the new year.
I'm excited. Good. Thanks for having me.